Hello and good morning, my fellow humans, and particularly in this video, my wonderful and amazing fellow community members, neighbors, friends, employees, administrators, and board members of the Plumas Unified School District and Plumas County Office of Education. Today is Monday, March 10th, and I would just like to have a chat with you about what is going on with our school district, what my beliefs are as to how we can bring this situation back under control, and ultimately my purpose in what I'm about to say is to inspire and empower we, the people, the community members, the parents, and the staff of our schools, to inspire and empower you to regain control of this situation. Reclaim your sovereignty, stand in your power, and regain control. The system is created and exists in order for us to maintain control. We have simply not been doing our part as citizens of this free land. Right? We have become complacent, we have become disengaged, and what's happening right now is a direct result of that. So, what I would like to start off by first is explaining to you my understanding of how this system is supposed to work. Okay? The board, I'm just going to call them the board of Plumas County Office of Education, PUSD, whatever acronym you want to go with, right? The board exists to do the will of the people. We elect these board members to represent us and to ensure that the operations and conduct of the school and its administrators is in alignment with the will of the people. That is why we elect them, and that is their purpose. Okay? Now, the board is responsible to utilize the superintendent of the school to ensure that the will of the people is enacted through the policies and procedures and daily occurrences in the school. It is the superintendent's responsibility to make sure that everything is fiscally solvent, that everything is run. Basically, it's the superintendent's job to carry out their mission statement, right? And the will of the people that is collected from the board during board meeting, or collected by the board from the people during the board meetings and passed down to the superintendent, who then carries it out. Right? It's a simple chain of command. We, the people, are at the top of the chain of command. We oversee everyone else. Directly below us in the chain of command is the board. Below the board is the superintendent. Below the superintendent are the administrators. And then below the administrators are the staff, the people who do the real work in educating our children, right? The staff, the janitors, the cafeteria people, like all the people who do the work that makes the day-to-day things happen and gets the information into our children's brains, right? Okay. So what we have going on here is the direct result of we, the people, losing control of the board. Now, ultimately, the reason we have lost control of the board is because we have not been participating. We have not been showing up. We have been a bad boss. We have had other things to do, and we haven't done it. We haven't held up our end of the bargain. That being said, right, the board has also made it extremely difficult for us, right? Part of the reason it's extremely difficult is because they are in violation, absolutely in violation of the spirit of the Brown Act, which is California law that empowers the people to retain control over the governing bodies, which we have created to do our business for us, right? So the board is in violation. If not actual violation, most certainly they are in violation of the spirit of that law, right? Which makes it very frustrating and makes people not want to participate. You don't want to show up to meetings, right, when you're going to be ignored or blown off, or you're going to watch the board make decisions that go against your will regardless of what you do or say, right? That's very frustrating. We have the power, not only the power, but the responsibility to ensure that that doesn't happen anymore. And here's how we do that, right? The board has been displaying behavior and gotten into habits that are potentially illegal, if not absolutely in violation of the spirit of the Brown Act. And that is, one, the time limit on per topic, right, of what we can talk about. Let me back up. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff here, right? Okay, I'll continue on my process. Thanks for bearing with my spastic brain. One of these hindrances to the people's control of the board is this 20-minute time limit per topic, right? And the reason that is a hindrance is because it is denying people the right, their legal, moral, and ethical right to speak to their subordinates, the board, right? And what I mean by that is there's nothing real necessarily illegal about the time limit itself. But if the time is expired and there are people who still wish to speak that are not allowed to speak, they are not afforded that opportunity, that is a violation of the Brown Act. Okay? The next thing is the non-use of the fact that the people in the audience cannot hear what they were saying. At the last meeting is in particular, right? When they were talking, the board was talking amongst themselves and not using the microphone that they were making us use. And people in the room couldn't hear what they were saying, that we should not tolerate that. The technology exists and is in possession, and the school is in possession of the tools they need to communicate with us, right? We should not tolerate that. Another thing that has been happening is the board's habit of not engaging or answering questions from the public. This is not how it's supposed to work, folks. And this is not, and the law refutes this habit or practice, right? And let me explain to you, now I'm going to jump in and explain to you how board meetings are supposed to work. Okay? During a regular board meeting, which the one that is coming up on Wednesday, the 12th in Greenville, closed session beginning at 4:30, open public session beginning at 5:30, 4:30. It's on Wednesday in the evening. You do your job and find out what time it's at, please. Thank you very much. Go to their website. It's on there. What was it? Oh, regular board meetings. This is how they work. The public comment period is for people to discuss, to bring to the board's attention and discuss whatever they want to discuss. Whatever they want. You have a 3-minute time limit to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Okay? And it should not be what you are talking about during public comment, should not be anything that has to do with anything that is on the agenda for that meeting. Bear with me here. The reason that you are not to use public comment during a regular meeting to speak to things that are on the agenda is that as those things come up during the regular agendized portion of the meeting, we, the people, are allowed to make comment and ask questions of the board during those those things come up on the agenda, right? So now the board is not required, not encouraged to, and will not engage in public comment, right? When you make public comment, you are simply commenting. They are not going to answer your questions. They're not going to respond to your comments. That's not what public comment is for. Public comment is to raise awareness about things that are not on the agenda. The agenda, they absolutely are to respond to comments, to answer questions. This is the whole purpose. The purpose of these meetings, despite what you will hear from officials and board members and administrators at the school district, these meetings are not the board's business meetings. That is a false statement. And if they are operating, which I know some of them are, if they're operating under that assumption, they are wrong. Okay? They are wrong. Legally, morally, and ethically, that is wrong. The purpose of these meetings is to afford we, the people, the opportunity to share our will and desires with the boards whose responsibility it is to make sure our will is carried out by the administrators and practiced by the employees. This is how it works, folks. And we, therefore, are required or need to, we are out of practice. We have not been doing this. If we want to regain control, we need to insist that the board does these things, and we need to ensure that this is how the meetings are operated. And we are within our legal rights to do that, right? We're within our legal rights to do that. It might be, we might need to practice a little civil disobedience, okay? Because if the board is operating illegally and they are trying to force us to allow them to operate illegally, then we might need to do whatever it is we need to do to correct them. I'm not talking about violence. I am not talking about angry blurts. I'm not talking about name calling. I'm not talking about smearing or bashing them all over the place. What I'm talking about is adhering to the rules and the laws, which are designed to keep us in control of the institutions which we have created for the purpose of conducting our business. Says Section 54950 of California state law. Thank you, Ashley, for ensuring that I remember and know that and utilize that information. So I would encourage all, here's the other thing, right, is I'm seeing a lot of Facebook posts, and there's a lot of really good information out there being shared around on Facebook, right? It's great information. Email your representative. Stop considering that bitching about something on Facebook is doing your duty as a citizen. These administrators are not required to check Facebook. They're not required to look at it. They're not required to respond to anything on Facebook. It doesn't matter. It is a venting. It is a way for us to share information and to vent our frustrations. It is not a legal channel for conducting business. So take your really good ideas and the really great information that you all are digging up and posting on Facebook and form an email to your board members. Their emails are on their website, which multiple people have shared. We all should know where it is. And this is, I'm going to go back to the fact, right, that like I understand a lot of people are really upset and that some people are probably going to lose their jobs and that we're upset because of the incompetence in our district that we have witnessed, right? Our district, our administrators have not adhered to their mission. They have not adhered to their purpose. They are failing the people. They are failing the kids. They are failing to practice good accountability and accounting. They do not know where their money is going. They have teachers that are unqualified and not credentialed teaching 20 plus kids, right? All this stuff is also in the audits that have been conducted and shared. If you haven't seen those audits, one of them is on the school's website. If you haven't seen the other one, it's because the school has not yet put it on the website, which may or may not be because it says a bunch of stuff that they probably don't want you to hear. If you're having any sort of problems finding this stuff on the website, I suggest you reach out to someone who works at the school and have them help you do it. That is your right, and it is your responsibility if you want to bitch, right? If you want to be a part of the solution, and if you want to be an iney, right, in balance with your complaining and all the time and effort and energy you're putting into this, then you need to do you don't need to do anything. I would suggest that you do what it is we are supposed to do. So why do we have the right to be angry? Because the system is falling apart. People are going to lose their jobs because the administrators are unqualified. Potentially the only reason that they exist in the positions they do is for the rampant nepotism, right? And the administrators we are paying people a ton of money to not do their job. We've got accountants, we've got a superintendent, right? A superintendent who has the gall to call the concerns of the people creative ideas when apparently he hasn't even read the audits, or he's refusing to acknowledge what's in the audits, because the people's concerned are a lot more in alignment with what two independent auditors found on their own than our own creative ideas. And so I would wonder, like, what are we paying him for? If he's not going to do what the board tells him to, if he's not going to do our will, if he's not going to get to the bottom of why we're really in a $2 million deficit and needing to fire more of the people who are actually responsible for educating our kids, who don't make enough money. Actually, the amount of money that we've spent paying them is illegal. We are illegally not paying them enough money. If you don't believe me, read the findings of the previous two audits, which I've already explained to you how to find. Okay? Why? So these are all extremely frustrating things. However, the reason that they are happening is because we, the people, have lost control. And we have lost control because we are not participating anymore. How many of you prioritize going to... That's a really good question, Deborah. I suggest you take it up with someone at the school district and everyone else. And I'm not trying to patronize you. I agree. I would love to know the answer to that question too. So thank you for asking it. Ask them, please. If you, that's where the answer is going to come from. I don't know. And I got to go continue figuring out what it is I want to do when I grow up after this, so I might not have time. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we have lost control because we don't participate. How many people have not gone to meetings because of baseball practice? All right, let's put that into perspective. So we would prioritize teaching our kids how to effectively chase a ball instead of ensuring that the organization that affords them the opportunity to learn how to effectively chase a ball continues to function. Folks, some of you are probably pissed off at me for what I'm saying right now, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay? How many of us go, this is a sickness and a symptom that we are suffering as a whole, not just Indian Valley, right? But as a whole, as Americans, we are detached and removed. We have removed ourselves through complacency and ignorance and a lackadaisical trust for these organizations that ungrounded trust, right? We have removed ourselves from participating. Everybody wants to show up to the lynching, right? Everybody wants to show up and throw stones and be able to yell and scream when there's a legitimate reason to be pissed, because it's a great way to vent some of that frustration, right? So everybody wants to show up to the lynching, but nobody shows up to the regular meetings that could have prevented the need for the lynching. And if you're triggered by the word lynching, lynching is the term used for the people overturning decisions of their government that they do not align with. Okay? That is what is an old term. It has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with any of that, right? It has to do with exactly what I'm talking about here. And yes, lynchings oftentimes ended in hanging because the government was all too eager to let criminals who were doing their business go, and the people were privy to it, and so they took the matters into their own hands. What else do we have to talk about? I think that's about it. I think that's about all I have to say. I look forward to seeing you at this next board meeting on Wednesday. I hope that you will stand in solidarity with me and your fellow community members and teachers and parents and insist that the law is followed and regain control of this situation. Look, all we have to do is retake control of this situation and it will get better. And we have that ability. We can do it, right? It's just going to require that we've got a little makeup work to do now because we've all been lazy and disengaged for so long. We haven't been lazy. We've been distracted. None of you are lazy. Everybody's really busy. I get it. But we've been distracted and we've been prioritizing the wrong things for a while, right? And so I hope that you will come participate. We've got some extra work to do now to make up for the disengaged time that we've spent. But I hope we will do it. I also want to, as always, encourage us to have compassion for the people who are responsible for this, because ultimately we are responsible. Now, are there people that are practicing nepotism? Yep, it certainly sounds like it. Are there unqualified people in the office that whose lack of knowledge and experience and ability to balance checkbooks and find out and ensure that the money is being spent and allocated properly? It certainly sounds like it. Has the previous superintendents, all of them, the last 3 at least, maybe 4, including the interim one now, Mr. Frost, have they all been covering up, sweeping stuff under the rug, covering things up, making decisions that are based on what they want to do and possibly what the board wants to do and nothing else? Yeah. It certainly appears that way. Are they about to fire a bunch of teachers and employees while they continue to pay themselves exorbitant amounts of money to not do their jobs and to fail at their jobs and to fail at their mission and their purpose, which is also on the website? You should check it out. Yeah, it appears that they are. But only because we have not prevented it from happening. We have not supported them. So are they guilty of those things? Yes. But the reason they've been able to get away with it for so long is because none of us have done anything about it. We're very fortunate, folks. We're very fortunate to be in a community that is small enough where we can engage with our local government and affect change relatively quickly and rapidly. And so I would encourage us to take advantage of that opportunity and do it. And again, let's have some compassion, all right? Despite the fact that there's possible criminal activity going on, definite immoral and unethical activity going on, these people are humans too. I encourage, if you have never done anything illegal, unethically, or immoral, then by all means, throw the first stone. I cannot make that claim for myself. So I'm going to do my best to control my temper and to have compassion for these people up there, because we are all human and we are all in this together and we are all part of the solution. I could continue, but I think that's a great place to stop. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for being with me on this journey. And please, if you can, come and participate on Wednesday, or at least follow up with the YouTube videos that are posted on there, or better yet, take your concerns that you would have shared when you were at the meeting and please, please, please email them to your district representative. Since I already spoiled my excellent closing, I would like to offer a prayer. To the creator of all that is, whatever name we may use, thank you for this wonderful opportunity of life. Thank you for the teachers who do their best day in, day out to educate our children and give them the best possible chance at a bright future. Thank you for our community members. Thank you for this wonderful place in which we live. Thank you also for the administrators and board members who have so far maintained a system for us to educate our kids. Please grant us the courage to ask the difficult questions, to be true to ourselves. Grant us the courage to have compassion for our fellow humans. Grant the board and the administrators and the superintendent the courage to tell the truth. Give them the intestinal fortitude to do their jobs. Grant them the understanding of the ramification of their actions. Show them how they have been dishonest, and show them the falseness that they have created, that they may fix themselves. And please, please, as we move forward, may all of our actions and decisions be in alignment with the highest and greatest good and possible outcome for our children and our children's children, the future of this marvelous planet. Amen. Aho. However you choose to close. Go forth and prosper.